All right, Dylan. Here's what I saw yesterday. Some takeaways. Geno Smith looked awesome. Like everything you heard about Geno Smith looking good yesterday, it was true. The ball did not touch the ground once when he was out there. They did a lot of red zone periods, which I think is notable because the Jets were terrible in the red zone last year. And you want your veteran quarterback to come in and just have complete command out there. And he certainly did. The caveat is this: they're not wearing full pads. And he's doing it against the Jet defense, which was terrible last year. So, as excited as some are about Geno's performance, there does need to be some nuance applied to the context of that performance. It is against the Jet defense, which stunk, and some of these guys were just running wide open yesterday. Now, a couple of these throws are outstanding. There was one touchdown he threw along the sideline to A.D. Mitchell where A.D. just made a great play. Geno put the ball in a great spot. There was a viral clip of Garrett Wilson scoring a touchdown yesterday. The Jets posted where Garrett was mic'd up, talking about how good of a throw it was from Geno. So positive, Geno looked awesome. Negative, well, the Jet defense was a huge concern coming into camp, and there was nothing I saw yesterday that makes me feel that much better about where we're at with that unit.
Yeah, isn't that the biggest catch-22 of training camp? It's like we want to see high-level performance, and when we get it on one side of the ball, it is fun, and we'll talk about how cool it is to finally have what could be a modern NFL offense. But yeah, on the flip side, you have to wonder, why are our DBs getting cooked so much? Are they in the wrong spot? I will say, to slightly defend the defense, because there are no pads, AG was asked directly about AZ Thomas and his development into year two. And he even said, he's like, I can't answer that fully until we see the pads come on next week. So my hope from the defensive side of this is that when the pads come on, they can be a little bit more physical, go out there, press them, choke them out, all the things that he said to AZ at the on the draft call. They can use their physicality, their length, hopefully not as much separation is happening. But as an offensive-minded fan and podcaster, this is music to my ears. When the ball doesn't hit the ground in practice, it's great. And this is the time you want the offense to make mistakes. So if there are some interceptions, it's really okay. But Geno Smith coming back, not sure which version of Geno we're going to get. Is it the Jets version? Is it the career backup version of Geno? Is it the early Seattle years? Is it that 1 year in Las Vegas? Which one are we going to get? If this is a harbinger of what we're going to get from Geno Smith throughout the season, even in spurts, this is fantastic. This brought me right back to him standing on the sidelines, getting fanned by all the players in Miami when he had that perfect game under Rex Ryan. I believe that was Rex Ryan's final game as the Jets head coach. So brought me all the way back to Miami Geno vibes. Let's just keep it rolling. I love that we have a plethora of talent from the skill position players. So it's not just like, yeah, he was lighting it up, but he was only throwing to Garrett Wilson. No, he had 2 to AD that went for touchdowns, 1 to Garrett for a touchdown, which was beautiful. The quote, "That was cold," that was awesome. Like,
here it is.
G5.
Oh yeah.
Just a G5. Boom.
Yep. Garrett needs this.
G5.
I can't tell who the DB is.
Now, I'll slow it down. We can watch it together because I had to watch this a couple of times. So it's a route where Garrett lines up, and he's already and at the start of the play, he's being guarded by Azaria Thomas, but they're in some sort of zone because you can watch Azaria. He passes off the route to Sherwood, who's now 44 in coverage against Garrett, who's starting to run his route towards the corner of the end zone. So Azaria is in coverage, passes it off to Sherwood, and then AZ has to go pick up Brees, who's running out of the backfield. It's a creative design here because you basically get Garrett against a linebacker, which he's going to win every time, no matter how good a linebacker is. This isn't even picking on Sherwood. But Minka doesn't move here. I don't really know what's happening. Watch 29. He just doesn't move.
G5.
He's like so late to get over there, and Garrett cooks him.
Yeah,
he's G5.
Minka's got to get some width there for sure. But yeah, this is a good offensive play design by Frank Reich to isolate Garrett in what they hoped was zone coverage from the defense. They got the look they wanted, an outside breaking route against a slower defender in Jamien Sherwood. So yeah, you can't really knock Jamien Sherwood. He did the best he could to open up and run with him. Yeah, Minka's got to get a little bit more width there in that too high shell. And sometimes this just happens, right? This is part of the chess match where you could have a really good defensive play called. Everybody's in position. The offense just calls a bit of a better play. And that's what happened there. And hopefully that is more of what we see through Frank Reich and Geno Smith this year.
The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players: Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to. And check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today. And then here was the other touchdown that we were able to capture on video. Nate sent me a couple of these clips, so I believe these are his recordings here. Here's Geno to AD Mitchell, not the one that went viral on Twitter. This was when the Jets were working on their red zone operation, and Geno just hung in there in the pocket and delivered a strike to AD over the middle. Break it down, DT. Here we go.
Yeah, that's great. So you obviously have AD, looks like in the slot to the right. Looks like
I'm going to give you a look at the defense here before I run it.
Yeah, it looks like a little 2x2. I'm going to guess that's a nickel defender, outside leverage on AD Mitchell. It looks like AD sits, does his little hitch route, and then does what he's supposed to do after the play. Look for space, and he gets right behind the ear. I think it's Demario Davis at that point. Gets right behind the ear of Demario. You see Demario given width. He's going towards the outside, towards the numbers. Then he's got to stop right there. And AD technically is covered, but he does a great job of looking for that open space. Geno, amazing throw by Geno to anticipate AD coming across the middle, because more often than not for the Jets, that's a play that the ball just sails through the back of the end zone untouched, incomplete, because the quarterback and the wide receiver aren't on the same page. So I love this from AD, just a little 5-yard hitch. Looks like a little spot route, and then he just cuts over to the middle. And this is the chemistry in real time that we need to see with the wide receivers and Geno Smith. And obviously we want to see it with Garrett, but seeing it develop with AD in real time, we know it's going to come with Garrett and Geno eventually, and it has, obviously, but AD is the X factor of this offense. So seeing that that's probably the highlight play, because it's nothing flashy, but everybody was on the same page, in sync, got the play done, and made it look better than it should have.
So I have a whole notebook of takes from watching practice yesterday that I want to rattle through. The other big takeaway that I have from watching the Jet quarterbacks is Cade Klubnik, barring him just being awful, he is going to be the Jet backup week 1. Mm-hmm. They barely gave reps to Bailey Zappi and Brady Cook. I mean, I think they each did maybe 1 or 2 total drives the whole practice. I mean, it was clear this is the Cade Klubnik show. In fact, Klubnik threw an interception to Quantez Stiggers here that I'll play. And what does Frank Reich do? They immediately have Cade Klubnik go back out there and try and get another rep right away so he could flush the interception away. Like, it was clear that they wanted Cade Klubnik to get as many reps as possible. This was picked off here by Quantez. I'll run it a few times. Klubnik yesterday, he had some really nice throws. There also were some moments where he looked undecisive where to go with the ball, and it led to 2 interceptions. And again, when you're doing a red zone period, that should favor the defense. Everything is collapsed. There's less over-the-top reads that you could get to if you're a quarterback. So what I noticed was the Jets basically trying to throw a lot at Cade Klubnik yesterday to see how he handles it, let him make mistakes so he can learn from it. To me, it's very clear that they're going to give him every chance to be the backup. I mean, Zappi and Cook, you barely noticed them. They barely got reps during this practice. It was all Geno and then Cade taking, I would say, 75 to 80% of the Jet snaps, whether they were in red zone or they were doing a 11-on-11 or 7-on-7 period.
Yeah, and I think that this is how it should be for now. And obviously we'll see what happens with the development of Cade Klubnik and if they have to make an addition in the quarterback room. But I just did a 53-man roster video on my channel. Everybody could check it out after this one at Dylan Tereman. But it was tough making the decision, but I ultimately went with 2 quarterbacks. I think they're just going to stick with Cade. They're going to put Bailey Zappi on the practice squad, try to use the emergency third quarterback situation to their advantage with that new roster change a couple years ago. Now, if Cade does not show improvement, they're probably going to have to make an addition, and then Cade would be the guy that sticks on as the quarterback 3 because they're not going to be able to cut him and bring him back to the practice squad. Looking at that throw specifically, looked like a little pylon route to the tight end. I couldn't tell if it was like Rucker or Chase Curtis or whoever that was over there on the short side of the field here. Just looked like a little bit of a late throw, and you don't have the matchup advantage that you want, a tight end against a cornerback. The cornerback is probably going to win that matchup, and Quantez does a great job of jumping in front of the tight end on the late pass. But it did look like ultimately it was a late pass out of Cade Klubnik's hands. Got to come out like a half a step sooner, maybe a full step sooner for Cade there. But to kind of be expected as a rookie, 2 interceptions on the day is not great. But we've seen the high of Cade Klubnik, right, where he had his perfect day and nothing hit the ground for him. And now he's kind of bringing it back down to earth a little bit here. So it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster for him. But I agree with you. He is quarterback 2 right now, and the only other option at quarterback 2 is probably somebody not on this roster.
The idea that Bailey Zappi or Brady Cook, they're going to be the backup quarterback after what I saw yesterday, I don't see it. Some other things that I noticed that stood out to me, Andre Cisco is going to be one of these starting safeties, whether we like it or not. This is a screenshot here that a listener sent in of the Jets' base defense during one of the 11-on-11 periods here. And the 2 safeties, as you could see on the screen, the 2 safeties were Minka and Andre Cisco. The 2 linebackers, Demario Davis and Jamie Sherwood. And there were multiple times in the base defense that it was David Bailey and Will McDonald out there. I also think that Azareye'h Thomas is going to win the starting corner job opposite Brandon Stevens. So I think some of these roster battles, they're battles, but I don't think we're going to see anyone overtake what we expect the starting 11 to be for the Jets. And just watching Minka in particular yesterday, they did move him around a little bit when the Jets had packages where they had a bunch of receivers out there on the field. Minka then slid in the nickel and played corner and matched up. So you'll see some of that. Pond is still out. So Brownlee, of course, got the start in the nickel. I actually caught up with Brownlee at the practice yesterday and had a nice conversation with him. He changed his number from 29 to 2. So Jet fans are wondering who number 2 is when they watch the preseason this year. That's Jarvis Brownlee. But I think what you see on the screen there is what you get week 1 in Tennessee, barring injuries. I think that's going to be the Jets starting 11 on defense.
Yeah, I agree with both Cisco and AZ. I was a little bit on the fence with cornerback 2. It seemed like Nahshon Wright had the better start to OTAs in the spring, and AZ obviously still coming back from that shoulder injury. He wasn't fully cleared till like right up until OTA started. So I was a little bit on the Nahshon Wright, like 55-45 leaning Nahshon Wright. But yeah, recently I've come back. Now I'm probably 60-40 AZ Thomas. I don't think it's definitely a lock that either one of them has solidified the job. I would hope that the former top 80 pick that was taken by this regime does get the nod to be the starter. And perhaps there's a point in the season where both of AZ Thomas and Nahshon Wright are starters. And then in terms of Andre Cisco versus Dane Belton, I think that's more they want stylistically a player like Andre Cisco on the field for when they want to be, versatile and multiple with Minkah Fitzpatrick. They still want to keep Andre Cisco on the field when they bring Minkah down. So that would probably spell, Dane Belton or Malachi Moore to come on as that third safety. But I'm with you. Cisco and AZ should be the starters if, we're just reading the tea leaves properly. And I liked that you showed that image that's still of the defensive front or the defense as a whole, because it was a 2-high shell, which is not very Aaron Glenn philosophical. Like, this is a little bit different for him, right? We always see the cover 1, the press, the single high. So going to the 2-high shell is really cool. Now, it looks like on offense, there's 2 tight ends on the field. So they're going with a little bit of a heavier defensive look. Looks like you could have 3 down defensive linemen, 2 edge rushers, and 2 linebacker types. So it doesn't even look like there's a nickel cornerback on the field in this specific scenario. So I like seeing a little bit of multiple looks from the defense because we know the Saleh era, they just lived in nickel the whole time. So this looks a little bit different from what we're used to. And with no nickel back on the field, I think the Jets defensive front, I think that looks like maybe Will McDonald, David Bailey on the edges, and then you have
Correct.
your 3 guys in the middle. I can't obviously tell who they are, but that's probably
the guys you would expect about Tavondre Sweat,
exactly.
or Nevada, Harrison Phillips, Jawan Briggs.
And Briggs. Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe Jackson was in on this, but this, without the nickel corner on the field, is still a very, advantageous look for the defense because their defensive line is probably their strength right now. So get all those guys on the field. It's definitely a bit of a change from what we've seen in the past. And the 2 high shell has become a thing in today's passing league. Now it looks like they're under center offensively in a single back. So that could be a potential run down for the offense here. But I do like the change from so much 1 high to a little bit more 2 high looks in the back end.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Today's raffle has not one, but four prizes up for grabs. D'Angelo Pond signed helmet, Garrett Wilson signed football, Darrelle Revis signed helmet, and a Darrelle Revis signed football. Enter now for your chance to win. If you enter during this show, you are in a separate raffle for a 5th prize today. How about a David Bailey jersey or Omar Cooper Jr. or maybe Kenyon Sadiq, who I had a great chat with yesterday, Dylan. And you know what I told Kenyon Sadiq? I said, you, sir, are an absolute freak 7 days a week.
Did he understand the reference?
He goes, wow, you're the guy that made the Adam Shine song?
I was obsessed with Sadiq, certified freak. 7 days a week, has a hernia tweet. Obsessed with Sadiq, certified freak. Trying to critique what I read in Newsweek. Obsessed with Sadiq, certified freak. Trying to take a peek at his manly physique. Obsessed with Sadiq, certified freak. Time to take a leak and play hide and go seek.
I said, yep, that's me, a.k.a. Gator McCluskey.
Oh, Jake, everybody knows you on the team, whether they want to or not. So that's awesome that Sadiq has seen the video. He is leaning into it. Glad he's healthy and back out on the field because I do think he's going to be a star for this offense.
I can tell you this, just watching the way he moves, and shout out to our guy, Rich Samini of the Jets Collective and ESPN for capturing this. He doesn't move like a tight end. And you could see just the way they line him up and use him all over that they clearly have a plan for him. But how they find ways to use him and hopefully allow him to be, maybe a decoy in some plays and open things up for other guys. It's going to be interesting to see. Frank Reich has a very important job finding ways to get 16 and 85 different matchups to get the ball. Mason Taylor, I thought, had a good practice yesterday too. Made a couple really difficult catches, one from Klubnik over the middle where Mason had the full-on dive and haul it in and make sure the ball didn't hit the ground. Really good catch. I had a great view of it from where we were sitting. So I thought both Jet tight ends looked the part yesterday.
Hell yeah. And I got a little bit of pushback. I was doing my summer ranking series, and I went position group throughout the AFC East. Each position group, I ranked them all 1 through 4. And we got to the tight end room, and I said, maybe people in the comments will say I have my green goggles on for this one. But I had the Jets tight end room ranked as the first best tight end room in the division over the Bills with Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox and Jackson Hawes as their trio. And I just feel really good about the potential of Kenyon Sadiq plus the second-year jump from Mason Taylor. I think it was on your show last month. You asked me somebody that I thought was going to take a big year 2 jump. And I said Mason Taylor. I genuinely think being so young in his rookie year, he was only like 20 or 20 and a half for most of his rookie year. So he's still a very young player. Kenyon Sadiq's a little bit older, but he, like you said, he does not move like a tight end. And I don't want to poo-poo on other teams that are also in training camp right now, but the Arizona Cardinals posted a similar type of video of their wide receivers running routes. And Kenyon Sadiq runs better than Marvin Harrison. Like Marvin Harrison was getting comments of like, oh, he runs like a tight end. Kenyon Sadiq does not move like a tight end. You're absolutely right.
The deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.